Okay, guys, what's going on? Today I have a special treat for you. Someone that I actually recently met in person on my birthday, actually. I met her in person. I decided to sit next to her on a bus in St. Louis, have a conversation about life, social media, business, impact, and all the good stuff that people that have never met in person that are sitting on a bus together to go to a really cool company, by the way, First Form, and and learn from some heavy hitters in the personal development industry. Um, so her and I discussed her launching her podcast at that time, and that we should do a collaboration. And I asked her to come on the show, and I think I'll be on her show sooner or later. I don't know when these things come out, but we're going to be on each other's show. And I got to introduce you guys. And before I introduce you guys, I want you to know that she's an awesome person, like through and through, to the soul. Awesome energy, awesome person, strives for huge impact. So, meet my friends and fellow growth-minded individual, Angela Bradford. And when I asked her how to introduce herself, she was super humble and super modest about it. So I'm going to try to open her up to get her to teach everybody, including me, some things. And the way that she wants me to introduce her is that she was born blue collar and now works white collar, and she's on a mission to impact humanity, change the world one person at a time. And I respect that. I respect that big time, because I know you're already doing that. And I'm just excited to be able to have the conversation with you and hear all the details. So Angela, thank you for being here. I'm grateful for your time. And I know you're on Pacific Standard Time, so it's a little bit earlier in the morning than it is here. So thank you for getting up early and jumping on this call.
Oh man, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I love your podcast. I was actually listening to one this morning while I was working out. So just pre getting in for your listeners. And I know you have an amazing group of listeners that are listening in. So I'm excited to hopefully share some value and help make some impact out there.
Cool. Which show were you listening to? The one that came out today?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was a good one. Yeah. I was lifting weights and I'm like, ooh, this is good.
Patterns are, it probably holds more people back than other than fear, than anything else. I think fear and patterns have this vicious, choking, metaphorically speaking, choking mentality to people. There are patterns that we've acquired or were raised with, and fear of the unknown or fear of judgment is really what has a stranglehold on people. And that's a really good show. And what you were at the gym, what were you training?
No, just doing. So I've just started going to the gym. I guess it's been 2 months now. So I'm pretty proud of myself.
Oh shit.
I always said I would never be a gym person and I didn't like to sweat. And then I made a decision. I guess everything starts with a decision about 2 months ago. I was going to join a gym. And so I joined a gym and I was like, I'll commit to 1 day a week. So I'm going 5 days a week. And it's really fun. I only go for half an hour, but I do my leg thing and I do some arm things. I don't know, but the weights are going up. So I'm like, that's a good sign. Something's happening and it feels really good. So now I'm like, I am a gym rat and it's really fun. And I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to get shredded. And I don't know how long it takes to get shredded, but that sounds really awesome. And so I told my mom I'm going to get shredded. And she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, Google it, Mom. I don't know if she's Googled it yet, but that's my mission. I've always wanted to get in shape. I just haven't, I guess, wanted to do the work to get really shredded and or ripped or something, or all the expressions out there. So yeah, so we're starting to go to the gym 5 days a week, and it's been an absolutely incredible experience, and I'm actually having fun doing it, which is kind of cool. When you make a decision, it's amazing what changes.
Yeah, awesome decision. Congratulations.
As you would know, yeah.
Yeah, it's this is year 25 for me. So it's it's a habit is fundamentally what it is, right?
Mm,
It's a healthy habit. And I mean, it could get unhealthy. There is extremes.
yes.
And
Yes.
I'll touch on that quickly. But before I get there, I recently saw an Instagram post and I shared it, and it got a lot of shares from someone that isn't necessarily like an influencer. And this guy, I'm trying to recall his name. He put together this slide on Instagram. It was on my stories the other day. That health now in 2022 is considered the ultimate form of wealth. In
Mm,
paraphrasing, what he was saying is health can't be bought, health is earned. And
mhm,
to be in the top 1% of the world for health, um, is a discipline and a habit that's built over a lifetime.
mhm.
And it completely resonated with me. And this guy wasn't a personal trainer. He wasn't like a gym owner. He wasn't like a typical fitness guy, right?
Mhm.
So it got shared, and I clicked on his profile, and he had a good following. I think it was like 15,000 or something like that. But he wasn't a fitness guy, and he wasn't a doctor. He wasn't in like the health field.
Mhm.
Um, and I really agreed with it. And here I am 25 years later, right?
Mhm.
My first training program, my mom wrote when I was 12 years old. So
Oh, that's awesome.
she still has it. And when I owned a gym, she framed that training program and put it on the wall.
Oh,
So
that's so
like, yeah, yeah. And having that discipline to go into the gym, and exercise doesn't have to be done in the gym. There's forms of NEAT, which is basically non-exercise, not non-gym exercise, if you will. Walking the dog, pedaling on a bike, or going for a hike, or something along those lines. But
yeah.
having healthy habits, having a healthy lifestyle, is something that cannot be bought, and it's only through discipline and execution. And there's a correlation between having a successful life, a successful business, and being healthy. It's very, very similar because it's fundamentally all disciplines and patterns. So I'm excited for your journey as a new gym goer.
Thank you. It's been fun. So I bike to the gym.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
and then I do the gym thing and then I bike home, and it doesn't take a lot of time. I'm not, like I said, I'm not there hours and stuff like that, but it's not about that. It's about the consistency.
Mhm,
So, just getting into that, and because otherwise you can just be the richest person in the graveyard. So you do have to look after your health, or,
mhm.
your health will take care of you, and it's not a good way. So I know personally, obviously having health challenges. So I know what can happen when you don't look after your health, and where it can go. So yeah, it's very important to do that gym routine. So while I was listening to the gym, while I was working on the gym, I was listening to you. And I was like, yeah, it was really good. And then I listened to Andy Frisella, and then he got me jacked up, of course. Together, it was a good morning.
Hell yeah. Andy's a beast. I was incredible when he introduced himself to me. I was like, huh, that's cool. But anyways, I was like, dude, we all know who you are. Like, I know who you are. Like, I'm Chris.
Yeah,
But anyways, yeah. And I want to touch on I wanted to, if you're open to it,
I'm
can we
totally
touch on,
open. We can go wherever
yeah.
you want to go. I'm an
So
open book.
you got this gym habit, right? You got this, that's awesome. You're biking to the gym, you're exercising, and then you're biking home. So have you always been healthy, or has it been a little bit of like a turbulent situation for you?
I would say I've always been semi-healthy. I mean, I've never been, quote, overweight. Um, I used to ride horses professionally for 17 years, so that was a really good fitness trait. And then when I kind of got in the white collar world, building the financial brokerage, I kind of got out of horse riding and got, like, I was just working. So I was a lot of sitting, a lot of, that kind of stuff, and got out of that fitness side a little bit. Food wise, I wouldn't say I ate super healthy, I guess. And now, I mean, since 2018, I haven't drunk any alcohol. I've cut out pretty much all dessert. I don't
Oh,
eat chocolate. I don't eat French fries. There's a lot of things that I've cut out. I have not cut out ice cream. I still like ice cream. But there's a lot of things that I've cut out. And, you know, a lot of that obviously had to do with my health journey and where I went down that road. But before that, I mean, it wasn't like I was super unhealthy. Now I'm taking it to another level. And now going to the gym is going to take it to another level. And I'm excited for that next level. Like I said, to get really ripped and really, really get in good shape, which I probably have never been in like really good shape while riding horses. I kind of was, I got to say, yeah. But since, you know, on purpose, not really, that was fun. So different reasons, I guess. But yeah, I haven't been like super unhealthy. I'm just picking it up a level.
Yeah. So you're leveling up when it comes to your health.
Correct.
Yeah. I respect that. Don't you have to be like super light to ride horses professionally?
No.
No.
Super strong.
Oh.
I wasn't riding race horses. I was riding jumpers and starting colts. And I mean, you have to be pretty strong because I mean, horses are a very strong animal. So if you can control a 1,200 pound plus animal, I guess if you can control that, you can probably control your own self. Maybe there's something to be said there. But like, yeah, when you're jumping and when you're starting colts and getting them trained to be able to ride them, you have to be pretty strong. You get bucked off a lot. And well, I got bucked off a lot. I don't know if everyone gets bucked off a lot, but I hit the ground a lot. It was a fun journey, broke my back, broke my arm, you know, had a leg crushed by cows. Like, yeah, we've had a few injuries throughout that world, of course. But I mean, that happens when you're dealing with 1,200 pound animals and you're, you know, 150 pounds. It just doesn't go together very well all the time. So, but you live and learn, you keep getting back on. And a lot of that probably applied to where I'm at in life, like the whole idea of getting bucked off and getting hurt and still getting back on and still riding. Like when I broke my back, I didn't know I broke it. So I was still riding colts the next week.
Holy shit.
I didn't know I broke it for a couple of months when it was already healed. And I mean, it gives me a lot of grief. So I definitely know that I did break it, but I didn't know at the time because the doctor misdiagnosed it. And so I just pushed through the pain and kept working. But live and learn, and just, yeah, you never know how tough you are until, you know, that's your only option. So
I could go so many different places right now, but I think it's important that we stay on topic here. A medical doc. It was a medical doctor that diagnosed you. They're certainly an interesting breed. Yeah. I was at. Do you know what the VA is?
I've heard the name, but it's an American thing.
Yeah, in the States here. And by the way, guys, Angela's joining us from Canada, so she doesn't know what the Department of the VA is, which is a good thing. It's our federal funded healthcare system for veterans.
Right.
And it is archaic at best. It's probably similar in a sense to your healthcare system, that it's free. Right. And everyone in America wants free healthcare, but I could tell you firsthand, free healthcare is not good.
Yeah, what you pay for.
Yeah. So anyways, like I thought I tore my bicep, right? This is a few years ago. I honestly thought my bicep was torn. And I was like, shit, I got to go to the doctors. So I go to the doctors and they start like playing around with it. And they're like, oh, it's not a torn bicep, it's tendonitis, which fundamentally is inflammation, and it's overused. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And they're like, okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to take ibuprofen 4 times a day and drink water while you take it. And I was like, so that's going to combat the pain, right? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, what about my kidney and liver? And they're like, oh, no, you'll be okay. Just do it for 3 months. And I was like, hey, doc, I went to school for nutrition. Just asking on the proactive approach, since tendonitis is inflammation. If I were to cut my sugar intake down proactively rather than take ibuprofen, do you think that might be a good move? And she's like, oh yeah, you could do that too. Okay, appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I'm just suggesting that the proactive approach in the medical community might be the answer. And so anyways, that's crazy. Now crazy that you broke your back and didn't even know about it and were misdiagnosed. Did that have anything to do with like long-term medical situations that you have or health situations?
No, so now I have MS, and which is an autoimmune disorder where the body attacks itself. Um, and really they don't know what causes it. I believe it all starts in the mind, and I'm a strong believer that I brought it on myself.
Well,
And
you
I'm not saying
manifested
that
it?
to anyone listening, that you brought on whatever you're dealing with yourself. I'm not
Oh,
saying
wow.
that. For me, however, 100%, I manifested it. But the cool part is about that in my mind is, if you can manifest it, you can
Hmm.
unmanifest it.
Hmm.
So I know that, like, if you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza or anything like
Hmm.
that, I mean, it all starts in the mind, and our mind creates a reality in every area. I believe that 100%.
It's
And
fact. It's
so
factual.
I brought it on myself, which means I can, I also am a Christian, so I believe God's going to heal it
Yep.
whenever the timing is right. But it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me, and though it's been the hardest thing that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
So, the struggles in our life are definitely brought into our life to see what we're made of, and to test us and see if we're ready for the next level. And we definitely wouldn't have the struggles in our life if, a higher power, God, whatever, your listeners are believe in, didn't think you were able to handle it. So if you're going through something right now that seems really tough, it's because your higher power, God, knows that you can handle it. And through that, that's how you become a diamond, because you never become a diamond without going through a fire. And so you have to struggle with that. And so one of my fires obviously was my health. And that's been like the biggest awakening. And from 2019, when I got diagnosed, to now, the I'm going to say exponential growth mindset wise has come because of that. And when my mindset changes, obviously everything around me changes.
This is gold.
Finances, health, like all of that stuff starts to change when we can change our mind. And this biggest struggles are what changes our mind. And we can decide at those times, if you're going through that, some people can decide to lay down and take it, or you can decide to grow and grow from it and use it as a catalyst to be able to change and look back and say, hey, what could I do differently? And you were just talking about sleep. That's something I'm still working on, but I know it's something that caused what happened, what I'm going through, I guess, because stress is part of a catalyst for MS. And I mean, when you're working like 24 hours a day and hustling and working, and I was doing all of that for about 7 years before I got diagnosed. I mean, that obviously took my body down and took a toll. And eventually my body said, hey, like, wake up, this isn't working. You need to change. And so it made me start to change. And now I can't do what I used to do. So my body is like literally, not figuratively, literally said, you can't do that, quit. And so every so often I forget about it. And then my body hits me again and says, hey, hello, wake up, look after yourself, quit that. And so it's still like, that's why I believe I still have it. I haven't learned all the lessons I need to learn from it yet. So I'm still in training from my process here. So, but like I said, things happen for us, not to us. And it's been the best thing that's happened to me, in a weird, twisted way, I guess. But our challenges can become our strengths. Our messes become our messages. Our tests become our testimony. I mean, we've all heard these sayings, but it's so true if we choose to use them as that. And if not,
It's all how you frame it.
it's all how you frame it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so yeah, the broken back, it does seem to I mean, it affects me a lot, but it's nothing to do. They're connected. They're disconnected. I just have a few different problems. Just one.
That answer was incredible, and it was very high level law of attraction as well. And I respect that a big time. My story is vastly different yet very similar. And you said something, I'm paraphrasing, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, but also the worst thing that ever happened to me. And my wake up call was lying on my back in Iraq, wounded, almost dead, and I was like, fuck. And that was my shift in perspective in life, and I was like, wow, man, I have never been grateful prior to this moment at 21 years old. And it was the hardest thing, but yet the best thing that ever happened to me. And when you could, and as I write about in my book, right, Joe, first things first, Joe Dispenza is a beast. I've never met him, but I'm aware of him. I've read him. He's the leader when it comes to this sort of stuff. That's alive right now anyways. There's been people before him. Proctor just passed away. I think he was Canadian. He's like the OG outside of Napoleon Hill when it comes to the metaphysical and changing your body and manifestation. But what I wanted to say is, in correlation to what you said, what I teach in Dominate Your Day, High Performer's Guide to Winning at Life, is I had a lot of ailments from getting wounded. I had back pain, I had neck pain, I had knee pain, memory loss, hearing loss, all diagnosed, right? And I brought it on myself. And I also learned through research of a higher power, I believe in the universe and energies, right? That you can undo all of it metaphysically, just understanding where it comes from. And as I teach about is through rewriting your subconscious. It's nothing new. Dispenza teaches it, but how I teach it is, hey, listen, I got all fucked up. I brought it on myself. Now I'm going to undo it. And I'm going to rewrite the script through affirmations in my mind. And what I found was affirmations, when it comes to forgiveness, was the biggest thing for me, to forgive the Iraqis, if you will, to forgive myself and people in my life. And when I started forgiving myself, my knee pain went away, my back pain went away, my neck is almost healed, my hearing is incredibly better, my memory is incredibly better. I'm not completely healed, but over the course of 10 years, it's taken a decade, I feel so much better. And you can unmanifest it. You can manifest in the health, just like you're talking about. So that was super powerful. And that was really cool to hear you say. So props to you. I'm happy that you have the mindset to be able to look at it as an opportunity to grow.
Yeah. Dr. Joe, I went to one of his workshops in 2020 in Mexico. It was absolutely incredible. And then they actually had me at the Healy in 2021. And that was an incredible experience where they meditate over you. I guess is how to easily describe it without being there. And like, I had hot and cold go through my body. It was crazy. One of my leg pains that I had before went away, it never come back. So I know the power of this stuff definitely works 100%. We just have to learn what we need to learn from it in order to
believe
get
in it.
to that. Yeah, I believe in it and learn. Like I said, is things are happening for reasons. And just realizing that like you learn more through your challenges, I would say, than honestly through your opportunities. So, if you didn't have challenges, we just wouldn't really grow. It's kind of like now that I can say I go to the gym, it's like the gym, when it hurts, that's a good sign to a degree. I get it. But like that pain is a good sign, means something's growing. Got to grow that way. So we're no different as humans. We have to be uncomfortable in order to get comfortable. Yeah. So we have to deal with some of that.
Yeah. I mean, incredibly. Now, have you applied any of this type of mindset to your professional life as well?
Yeah, I mean, every day, obviously. The struggles. So coming from, so a little bit of background, I guess. I was homeschooled. I'm dyslexic. I was a truck driver by trade, long haul truck driver. So everything pretty much not only blue collar, but also very by myself. So I came into an industry, the financial services industry, where, it's all about people, and it's all about, building people and recruiting and training and all of this stuff that has to do with people. So here I came into an industry without a whole lot of people skills. And I had to learn them. And it was like the toughest thing ever to go out and make friends and be public and talk to people. And then getting into leadership was, man, I remember when my leadership sat me down and said, you need to figure this out, because I was so tough on people. And so all of those things, like talking to people and getting lots of rejection and lots of no's and lots of, hey, I'm not interested, and all this stuff that comes from building a business, of any sort of business, really, it was hard for me because I hadn't really dealt with that. I just kind of been by myself my whole life. And so here, all of a sudden, I was having to talk to people, but in that discomfort is when you get comfortable again. So I remember the day I went out and got 25 new numbers from strangers, And that was a huge day. That was a shift again, because that was a really tough day. It was like 12 hours, took me forever. I was so scared to talk to people. It took a while to actually get 25 numbers. I probably talked to 100 people plus. And but that started to shift my mind, where I'm like, okay, I can do this. Okay, I am worthy. Okay, I can change. We can grow. And so, if anyone's listening to this that is feeling like that, and you're like, I don't know if I can do this, or I'm stuck or whatever, go to do something that's so uncomfortable that like you don't think you can do, and then just do it. And then you'll be like, wow, if I can do that, I can do anything. And then that'll start to shift your mind, because when you start to shift your mind, then you start to shift your life. So it just so much starts in the mind. It's crazy. But yes, going through it, like we manifest, we make it happen. And it's just deciding every day on like doing the same thing and growing ourselves and being uncomfortable is where the growth starts to come from.
Yeah. I think that goes back to what we said in the beginning, right? Like the two biggest things that stranglehold people is patterns and like fear. And fundamentally, like fear of the unknown or fear of judgment would keep someone comfortable to not go and get those 25 new numbers, right? Because their fear of judged, or fear of how it's going to work out, or fear of rejection, and putting yourself into those uncomfortable situations is incredibly powerful. It's incredibly fulfilling once you embrace it and lean into it, right? And just like you were talking about before, like if you're going through tough times, leaning into the tough times is typically what's going to bring the light to the darkness. And in your case, you leaned into going out and talking to everybody and like getting those numbers and so on and so forth. And as we both know, that action cures anxiety, right? And action cures uncomfortability. But fundamentally, that's pretty awesome. And in the financial services aspect of things, do you primarily work with business owners or like employees, or do you have like tell me like, since I have no clue, why don't you tell me?
Basically, we work with everything. So we're a broker. In Canada, we partner with 50 companies. In the States, we partner with 150 companies. And basically, we just find people the best option, whether it's, mom and dad and their kids, or whether it's, a massive corporation where we can tax shelter money, that kind of thing. Basically, work with everything. What makes us a little bit different than just, I guess, being a financial advisor is I've been able to, build a company. So 42 licensed agents in my agency right now. Our goal is 100 by the end of this year. We have big goals. Our goal is a licensed agent in every state and province within the next 5 years. So we've got some work to do, which is super exciting. And that's where the leadership came in. And that's where, it's one thing to lead yourself, but then to also be able to lead others. And I mean, it really does start though with leading yourself. And that's what John Maxwell always talks about. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And so, if we can't lead ourselves, can't get out of bed in the morning, can't do the routine, can't do the things, it's really hard to be able to lead someone else if you can't even lead yourself. So everything starts with leading yourself. And then through that, we can lead other people. So in my agency, that was a big growth thing for me, because when I started out, I just thought you told people what to do, but like they're a volunteer army basically. So we can't just tell them what to do. We have to show them and lead them and help them succeed. And that's taken a lot for me to, level up, I guess, on my leadership skills, which is why, obviously seek out people like John Maxwell and been to some of his events and growing there too, because like, he's like the leadership expert out there really on that. But it's just like, man, it's so different from coming from, like I said, horse training, truck driving, that kind of thing, to be able to like be a leader. And I was like, and people don't view themselves as a leader. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to be a leader, or I'm not a leader, or till they get a title, I'm not a leader. I hate to break it to you, but everyone that's listening is a leader. Everyone is a leader. Whether you decide to be or not, you are a leader. Someone is watching you. Someone is following you. And the choice is, what do you want them to see? And if you quit, they'll quit. And is that okay with you? So like being a leader is such a sense of responsibility, but it's not something we can choose. It's something we just are. We don't get to choose if we're a leader. If you have kids, you're definitely a leader. But even if you don't, like you have a younger sibling or you have older, like it doesn't matter. Everyone out there is being watched by someone, especially with social media the way it is. People are being watched, and like, what do you want them to see, in your life that they can become? Because your choices impact other people. And it's such a overwhelming but empowering thought, depending on how you look at it. But so that's the biggest thing I guess we do. We help everybody, but we're also able to build an agency, which has been the most fun I've had, and obviously the hardest thing I've done too, because like the day in a leader, like John Maxwell says, a leader's day, there's never 2 good days in a row. And it seems to be pretty true.
Isn't true?
Yeah, it's so true. So like, oh man, you have a good day, and then the next day is like, oh man, and you're the best leader, and then you're the worst leader. And it's all about managing your thoughts and your feelings, I guess, as you go through those journeys. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your questions. Went on a tangent on leadership, but it's my favorite.
Please, no, listen. Leadership is definitely one of my strong suits, and I've been in it 2 decades now, but it doesn't mean that I know everything. Actually, I know very little. And a good leader will recognize that statement as, okay, he understands leadership, because you can learn leadership from anyone. You got to be able to sift through the bullshit. But like, listen, leading people in combat under direct fire is very different than leading a company. Very different. And I'm grateful to be able to be looked at as a leader, and I know that leaders are chosen. However, we all do have the ability to lead and are leaders, as you said, whether it's your cat, your family, your business with 1 employee, doesn't matter. Your business with 10, 20, I had 60 at my biggest employees. There's people that have 600. One of my clients has, at any given time, he has over 800 employees, and he fires by groups of 50, which is like, he works for Amazon. So like, long story short, it's just different. But there's levels to it, right? And it goes well beyond that. Amazon and Walmart employ over 1 million people, a piece. So, leadership is definitely there's a huge spectrum. Would you say that the biggest mistake that you made in leadership was thinking that people had to listen to you, like you kind of said earlier?
Yeah, I would say thinking they would listen to me, and also thinking that everyone thought like me, and that I didn't understand when people didn't think like me. And I just didn't quite, like, honestly, I probably still think about that way a little bit. I'm working on it still, because I just think everyone should think like me. Like, what do you mean you don't want to make calls today? What do you mean you don't want to work today? What do you mean? I don't understand. Like, don't you want to make money? Like, what do you want? And I just didn't understand it. And now I'm starting to try to see people see things from their perspective instead of from my perspective, and realize like they have strengths that I don't have. Instead of just focusing on, I'm really trying to switch this, instead of focusing on other people's weaknesses, quote unquote, I'm trying to focus on their strengths. Just like I hope they don't focus on my weaknesses and they focus on my strengths. And as I do that, I start to see how amazing they are, instead of being like, oh, they're weak, or looking down on people. And that is so wrong, because they just think differently. But it's not that they're weaker, they're just think differently. Like, we both have our strengths. I definitely have some weakness areas that I need to work on. So people could look at anyone and think that, man, you got this problem. Well, like someone like John looks at me and be like, holy moly, you're a wreck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, anyone can go like there, or they can choose to find the strengths and build on the strengths and empower people to become that best version of themselves. And that's really what leadership is all about, is empowering people so that they can become the best version of themselves, whatever that means to them, and not whatever it means to me. And so I'd say my biggest problem as a leader when I started out, and I still work on this, ask my team, I'm still working on this, is just being very, thinking that they should be like me. and trying to treat them like I would treat myself instead of treating them how they need to be treated, and loving them and being there for them instead of just being like, what do you mean? What are you doing? And being judgmental. And a lot of it, like, I've really had a lot of thought on this, obviously. A lot of it comes, how we view others is how we view ourselves. So, you know, if I'm really hard on them, normally it's because, and I know this is true, I'm really hard on myself. And until I can really, and that's where the self-love, all that stuff comes out. We talk about this a lot. It's kind of a new thing going out there, but real self-love is actually just like really loving yourself. It's not about going for bubble baths and pedicures and manicures. Those are great, but it's about like really loving yourself. And so that's been the biggest thing I've been working on for the last like 6 years, is like actually loving Angela, because if I can't love Angela, I definitely can't love, you know, my future spouse. I definitely can't love my team. I can't, you know, really be that person without being true to myself first.
Yeah, well said. And the practice that I teach when it comes to self-love is stand in front of the mirror and get used to it. I hated myself coming back from war, hated myself. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And you know, and the key is to reframe your thinking. I'm not saying you in particular, I'm saying anyone,
No, everybody.
is to reframe your thinking and talk about good things that you see. Like, what a big, beautiful, bald head you have there, Chris. You know, rather than like, oh, I'm bald, you know, I wish I still had hair. Actually, side note, being bald is awesome. It takes no time to get out of the shower.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Towel over the head, good to go. You know,
Yeah.
you know,
Totally see that.
but and this is something that I do with my clients, my coaching clients, and my team, you know, my staff. I'll go with them and I'll stand with them for the first time. I'll hold their, not physically, but figuratively speaking, I'll hold their hand and we'll stand in front of the mirror together. And I'll ask, what do you see? A lot of times it's negativity, right? And it's like, okay, all right, cool. Like, we're gonna work on this together, right? Watch this. And then I do. And then I'll point something out awesome about them, right? And then I'll be like, you know, I'll build off that. And then it go from that point forward, it's on them, right? And it's scary. It's definitely a scary thing. And my material in what I teach is through affirmations and meditation, right? And you know, I have one of my top people right now. Every day she's belting off 15 affirmations of the things that she sees in the mirror that she loves. And today she is not working and she's handling something very important for her. And she's never done it on her own. She has no support. And, you know, I called her this morning and I was like, what's up? You good? And she's like, yeah, I'm really good. And I'm like, see, that's what it's all about. All right. So you're gonna fucking handle this shit. You're gonna get it done. You're gonna stay in your power and you're gonna come out on top. And it's a life-changing event. And it starts with loving yourself and facing yourself first and foremost, and then working on the love, because a lot of times the self-love is in there. You just got to dust it off a little bit.
True. Yeah. So good. It's awesome.
Yeah. Right. So excellent point there. Excellent point. And, you know, when it comes to leadership, in my opinion, a lot of it really has to do with understanding the person, just like you said about their perspective, right? Like this person that I just referenced, and the people that are downstairs right now are completely different personalities. And understanding their personalities, and I have to hold someone accountable after this, and we're going to have a really tough conversation, but I know that person's personality and I know how to be firm, yet not too firm, because if I go super firm, they'll just run away. So holding people accountable, but understanding the person is critical. Just like you said, see it from their perspective.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I know right after this, I have a call similar to that.
Very good.
Yes. So it's, yeah, how to talk to my team. So Yeah, just
It's part of leadership.
part of leadership, right? And bringing in what's needed for them to succeed at the same time as doing it in the way that they actually hear it, instead of where they shut you off and go like, I'm not listening, you're being a jack. Like, not doing that. So yeah,
So
it's fun journey.
so before you do that, why don't you do this for us? If you had to leave everybody with one piece of advice that potentially could change their life, what do you think it would be?
Step into your challenges and know that your challenges are there to help you grow. And, actually get to the point where you're, I shouldn't say looking for them, but embracing them and enjoying them in a weird way, because through the challenges you will grow, and without the challenges you won't grow, and you won't become the diamond that you were meant to be. And everyone that's listening was put here for a purpose, or you wouldn't be here. So because you're here for a purpose, you need to step into that purpose and figure out what it is. Sometimes that takes a little bit of time, but then realizing that everything in your life that's happening is happening for a reason, to make you stronger and to turn you into that precious metal that you were made to be, instead of just being, a piece of coal. So step into your challenges, embrace your challenges, and learn from them, and help, use them to help you grow. Things happen for us, not to us, is my favorite quote. And I believe that 100% of the time. And that would be my final thing that I would love to leave your listeners with.
Lean into the adversity. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy how we all say the same thing, just differently, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for providing us with all this gold and sharing your story, and educating us on your perspective on things, and what you're doing, and everything that you've come through. I think it's extraordinarily powerful, not only for people, but for women to also understand that, like, you do whatever the fuck you want. You want to go build some shit and have 40 people underneath you. It's completely possible, and could be done quickly too. So, very well said. Very well said. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me on, Chris. It's been a privilege, and I'm excited to have you on my podcast.
Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And guys, if you want to catch Angela, reach out to her, say hello, Angela, and ask her questions, because she's got some serious perspective, and it's extremely elevated mindset. Where could they find you?
Best way to find me would be Instagram at Real Angela Bradford, and definitely reach out. I will get back to you, and would love to hear any questions or comments, or anywhere I can help you with.
And what about your podcast? Where can they find that?
Podcast is One Starfish on all the major platforms. Pretty easy to find.
Fucking awesome. All right, guys, reach out to Angela, and I'll catch you next time.